early next year. And the Brewers lost to the Phillies yesterday 10-9. They now go to Pittsburgh to start a 3-game series with the Pirates this evening. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. You're listening to Resistance Radio.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, it's the Blue Monday edition.
Oh, come on, man.
I tell you what, when the water here on Brady Street gets above the fishbowl,
we're out.
I'm swimming for it.
We're calling it. Happy Monday to you, Crudy. Always a pleasure.
I'm not feeling happy, but I'm happy to announce we got a fine guest right from the top. He is Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause in Wisconsin. Jay, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Been far too long, sir.
Well, Crudy, it has, and Don, nice to hear your voice. I wish you could be on happier circumstances, but it's not all terrible.
Right, Jay. Thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
Jay, let's talk about what has broken the hearts of Democrats all across the state of Wisconsin. U.S. Supreme Court unanimously rules to not really make a ruling on the merits of the Wisconsin gerrymandering case. Jay, want to get your initial reaction to the big announcement by the Supreme Court this morning.
Well, of course, it was disappointing that there's no decision, and I think all along that we've been very hopeful that there would be a majority in favor of overturning excessive partisanship in gerrymandering, particularly the Wisconsin 2011 gerrymander. But the fact that all 9 of the justices, including the 4 progressives who we know would have supported overturning partisan gerrymandering, what they essentially said was that we're going to send this back to the district court, and the original the original plaintiffs in the case, the Democrats, they have to demonstrate better what harm was caused by the partisan gerrymandering. I mean, there were sort of expressions of what was wrong, but apparently the court said that wasn't enough. Now, that's not the end of the story. There are several other court cases in the pipeline. There's one in North Carolina that could be argued as early as this fall, and that would put this issue front and center again before the United States Supreme Court. I'm heartened by the fact that there wasn't a definitive decision that said partisan gerrymandering is fine, go ahead and do whatever the heck you want. So the issue was left unsettled. But sure, it's disappointing. We were hoping that a positive decision would come down that would enable us conceivably to redraw the lines for 2018, or maybe even certainly for 2020, and it's just going to take longer.
Jay, there is a 0% chance of new boundaries for the 2018 election, my understanding, sir.
I think that's about, unless hell freezes over tomorrow, I think that's probably the case. There's not going to be any action in Wisconsin, certainly, in redrawing the lines any sooner than that. The only conceivable action that could happen, and again, it's a long shot, would be if the legislature and the governor pass a new system of redistricting in the special session, and that would be adopting the Iowa plan, which, by the way, we're not going to stop pushing because that is the permanent solution to this gerrymandering, not just a court order redraw maps. But, that's a long shot as well, given the political configuration here. So we're probably going to have to go with the maps that we have now. And that means that if the other side, Democrats, are going to have any chance of capturing the majority, there is going to have to be a blue wave, and things like the things that happened in the 10th Senate District and the 1st State Senate District is going to have to be more of that. And obviously the better opportunity for that would be in the state Senate rather than in the Assembly, and certainly for the governorship.
Jay, we effectively needed divided governance to get any sort of meaningful result, at least in the short end. Historically, when we've had divided governance between the Dems and the Republicans, the courts end up drawing the maps. Jay, at this late hour, that seems like the best possible outcome, at least at this point, sir.
Well, that's true. Again, a court redraw of the maps would be something that would be better than what we have now. But as you say, you need divided government in order to do that, certainly with a redistricting process that's put forward. And I think even under the most positive of circumstances, if this decision had been totally affirmative, even if the maps had been redrawn, the chances that the Democrats would be able to repay the state assembly, given the 25 or almost 30 seat deficit that they have there in the 99 seat assembly, would have been tough anyway. So divided government is really the best hope for going forward. But again, this North Carolina decision is a possibility. And again, the Wisconsin case isn't over. It was sent back to the federal district court, and there are arguments that could be reframed and put forward again. I admit that it's not a positive decision that we would have liked to have had. I don't think the other side can claim that they now have a green light to go ahead and engage in partisan gerrymandering to their heart's delight, because that's not what the court said. The court just said, we're not doing it now, we're not doing it in this case as it came before us. Of course, the frustrating thing is that you almost wonder why that they didn't say that in the beginning. They took the case a year ago, and there was an expectation that there would be a definitive decision on the merits of the case. They didn't argue on the merits at all. This is strictly procedural, and I'm not even going to bore your listeners in trying to explain what standing is, because it's just not really relevant to the facts of the case. It's not really going to change the outcome anytime soon. They're not going to revisit this until early next fall. But as you mentioned, that's not going to be in time to change the maps in Wisconsin.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. That's Jay Heck. He's the executive director, Common Cause in Wisconsin, talking about the Gill v. Whitford Supreme Court decision today, essentially punting. When I first saw the breaking news on this, it looks like some of the reporting might have been a little confusing. So the court ruled unanimously that the plaintiffs did not have standing, and then had a split decision, 7-2, Justice Thomas and Gorsuch going against the other justices in fact, kicking this back down to the district court versus just dismissing it entirely. So there were some conservatives who wanted to just get rid of this entirely, but thankfully that did not happen. But I don't think it's a bore to understand, or at least try to explain to our audience here, Jay, what the standing is. It looked like, as I was reviewing some of the filings here, specifically Justice Kagan, that she kind of spells out what needs to be done, what wasn't done and what needs to be done as it pertains to standing as you understand it, Jay.
Well, I'm not an attorney, and I haven't examined the writings maybe even as much as you have. I've been on the road all day. But
sure.
One of the things that is clear is that they said that the original plaintiffs, and that would be Mr. Whitford and the Democrats that originally brought the case. Remember, the case used to be Whitford v. Gill, and then because the state of Wisconsin appealed it to the U.S. Supreme Court, it was flipped and became Gill v. Whitford. The plaintiffs, apparently they explained why they thought this was harmful to Democrats and to their ability to cast votes that were as meaningful. In other words, that's what this efficiency gap was all about. And I think what the court unanimously decided was that wasn't a sufficient standard by which to judge harm and damage done to the interests of voters. So what they've asked that happen is that the case be remanded back to the federal district court from which it came here in Wisconsin, and that the plaintiffs present better facts about harm and about how this affects them. But let's be honest. I mean, that's another way of saying no thanks. We're not gonna look at it right now.
Not this time.
So that's disappointing. But again, there is a case in North Carolina that is in the pipeline and may be taken up, and oral arguments may be heard as soon as October. So it's not as if this thing is dead and we have to wait another 10 years for litigation before the Supreme Court. And it's not like the Supreme Court is saying that, okay, we've now heard a redistricting case and we're not going to consider another one for 10 years. It was 12 years ago in a case called Jubilee v. Veith that the U.S. Supreme Court last considered partisan gerrymandering. We're not going to have to wait that long again for this to come up before the Supreme Court again. Thank goodness.
All right.
Jay, it's still going to feel like an excruciatingly long period of time, like waiting on this decision has. Our friend Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause in Wisconsin. Jay, thanks for helping us sort it out a little bit here on the big show today.
Never give up, never surrender. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Jay.
We are the Devil's Advocates. This conversation will continue. You can throw your 2 cents worth in now at 844-967-2789. Former Majority Leader Senator Tim Cullen, a Democrat, will join us in the 4 o'clock hour. He's been one of the big advocates for this. We'll talk more on this topic, but if you want to pipe in, now would be a great time. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, Blue Monday.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It's the yellow...
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Person who's against these regulations to keep poop out of your water and poison out of your food. If, one of their offspring had a third arm coming out of their forehead.
I would just think that would be awkward. You'd be very top heavy.
But you would be one heck of a football player.
How would they make a helmet?
All you gotta do is cut a hole in the helmet for the hand to come through, and you could catch
but then
passes
you're elbowing
all over
everybody in the face every time you walk around.
Wear an elbow pad. You'd be fine.
How would you see?
You would be a heck of a football player.
Would you be an arm unicorn?
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
Is my kid in the right car seat? I guess she is.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear-facing, forward-facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Streaming live on YouTube. We'll be up on Facebook in just a minute. Also on Twitter at Devil Radio. And the phone lines always to chime in. What's your opinions? 844-967-2789.
Okay, I'm the Gary. I did something.
What'd you do?
To the Facebook live stream. I apologize, trying to make the sound work. Thank you to our most recent guest. He was Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause in Wisconsin. There's somebody's Facebook live streams working. Jay Heck, Common Cause in Wisconsin Executive Director. We appreciate him joining us on the phones. Got a former Wisconsin State Senator, Tim Cullen. He's going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour, and we're going to open up the phone lines. Anyone got an opinion? This a disappointing punting, a failure to find on the merits of the case. That's what's perhaps the most disappointing. They didn't really rule. I mean, it'd be different if they said, hey, man, you know, these Republicans, they're totally vindicated. That's the way the Republicans are going to play it either way. But it would be, nice if the actual merits of the case, if a verdict had been rendered. There is no verdict. And I got to tell you, it makes me just a little blue today, Dom.
I know, man, and we got a new version of the song for you. But I guess here's the good news is, number one, it wasn't, a split decision. I mean, every one of those justices had an issue.
So
with
it wasn't like 5-4 on the standing.
On the standing, right?
No.
I mean, so then I wonder, and I know we did reach out to some of the attorneys involved in this case today.
Speak with Nick Stephanopoulos. He came up with the efficiency gap. He is slammed today. He said perhaps later in the week. So we'll try again for Nick Stephanopoulos. But Dom, this issue of standing, I mean, this is a galling reason not to find out the merits of what was being represented. And the plaintiffs, I know that flip back and forth, who's the plaintiffs, but the plaintiffs in the case are asserting that they've lost their one person, one vote because they've been so gerrymandered, so partisanly gerrymandered. I guess that's right in the word. Gerrymandered means a partisan thing. But effectively that they don't get their fair representation under one man, one vote.
The voter dilution is what they're calling it. But here's the good news. And the two righties say throw it out. But everyone else said, okay, send it back. This is a very important case, and it should be decided properly. So if there is a concern about standing, yes, I guess it should be figured out. But I don't think that. It certainly doesn't bode well for the next couple of elections because this is how it's going to be now. So that's a little bit frustrating. But the good news is Kagan, through her writings here, basically lays out what needs to be done, and has put forth a roadmap. Now, then,
what needs to be done, Dom?
Well, you want me to, we're not going to get into this right now. We'll get into it perhaps when Cullen comes in.
You give me the J. Heck treatment?
And I have it. Well, I have it right here. To have standing crudy, according to Justice Elena Kagan, to bring partisan gerrymandering claim based on vote dilution, a plaintiff must prove that the value of her own vote has been contracted. And that entails showing, as the court holds, that she lives in a district that has been either packed or cracked. The very first person to testify in this was Whitford, who did not have that damage. Whether or not he came from Dane County, he's in Madison. His position was not that he was packed or cracked. His position, he had no damages. He would not be damaged under this current gerrymandering or in future gerrymandering, to my understanding of this reading, because he was in Dane County. It's always going to be, or at least it has been, if the trends continue.
Liberal.
Yeah, it's how it's going to be. So, given that, and he was the first one to testify, I wonder if that was proper for the attorneys to do. Now, in the district court, there was one dissenting judge on the standing issue, a Griesbach it was, and so apparently, that judge's issue convinced the rest of the court. So once you are able to show that you live in a district that has been either packed or cracked, there are ways in which a partisan gerrymander can dilute votes, according to Kagan. Consider the perfect form of each variety. When a voter resides in a packed district, her preferred candidate will win no matter what. When a voter lives in a cracked district, her chosen candidate stands no chance of winning. But either way, such a citizen's vote carries less weight, has less consequence than it would under a neutrally drawn map. So when she shows that her district has been packed or cracked, she proves as such to establish standing that she is among the injured. Another issue on this, it's only within your individual district. This isn't a damage shown statewide. Whitford, who was the first one to speak, who was not damaged per se, because regardless of how the maps are drawn, it's probably going to be his Dem in his district, goes on to say that this essentially impacts everybody, all the Dems, because you get less done in the state, in state government. So it seems to be that each individual will have to be able to prove their packing or cracking based on their districts. But then I wonder, do you need one from every district? I'm just not entirely clear.
Nor I. But thank you for giving it the old college try for me, buddy.
I printed it out and I got highlights and everything.
We are the Devil's Advocates, a bit blue on this Monday. I think, a successful reading, upholding on the merits of this case would have created a chaotic circumstance for the fall elections anyways. People that qualified for the ballot did so under the current legislative map. So anyways, perhaps this is better, but it means best case scenario, we're still going to have a Republican assembly in 2018. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
5/9, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Here's how you get them. If someone invites you for a cocktail, you bring them beer. If someone invites you to dinner, you bring a casserole. That's how you make friends. That's the Wisconsin way.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio? Call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that failed facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. One of the Republican candidates challenging Senator Tammy Baldwin appears in a new television commercial with a handgun by her side. In the ad, Leah Vukmir is shown sitting at her kitchen table with her gun and discussing death threats she has received. And candidates for governor Kathleen Vinehout and Malin Mitchell will take part in a debate tomorrow afternoon on the Devil's Advocates radio show. That debate will take place from 3 to 4 p.m. tomorrow here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, a 40% chance of rain with highs only in the upper 60s. You're listening to Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Something to be rainy blue Monday, at least for Democrats. Republicans feeling completely exonerated in that most part. I mean, do you see the Robin Voss? Do you see the
their tweets or no? I haven't seen the response.
They're totally vindicated.
Well, of course they're saying that. Hell, and Trump's sitting around saying no collusion. I mean, of course, that's what they do. They're full of it. Anytime it doesn't go exactly, the Democrats' way, well, it's a victory for the Republicans. Bull. It's a technicality. It's going to get worked out. There's a plan for
I'm less convinced it will get worked out, at least to the resolution that we would like to see, which is a standard set beyond which it's overly partisan and you cannot do it. I'm not convinced it will get worked out.
I believe it will. And standing's an issue. What are you going to do? You got to go back and do it right.
All right, do it over. Never time to do it right. Always time to do it over. Right. Thank goodness we're not going to clear things up before this elective cycle. The midterms, when Republicans historically vote more prominently than Democrats. And I keep hearing about this forthcoming blue wave. Well, it'd take a hell of a blue wave to overcome the most partisan gerrymander in recent American history. I don't think we're going to win the assembly back. I think Speaker Voss will still be the sanctimonious Speaker Voss come January. Dom, the other big issue of the day, the treatment of immigrant families, asylum seekers, and this newest policy by the Trump administration to basically tear children away from their parents and then blame it on the Democrats.
It's just a zero tolerance law. He's just doing what he has to do. You can't blame the president or Sessions for adhering to the law. In fact, isn't it the Democrats' fault if you listen to Trump?
Sure that everyone understands your droll sarcasm, Dominic. Let's play some of the Donald Trump sound. Both he and Jeff Sessions out speaking on this topic today, the tearing away children from their parents. And in fact, everything I've seen, Dom, looks a lot like the kids get their own little mini jail cells.
Ooh, their own? No, they don't get their own. They get several to a jail cell. I saw on Bernie Sanders' Facebook page, and I shared it on the Devil's Advocate page, some video that was released showing kids, behind the fences and inside these warehouses.
My Congressman Mark Pocan at the border yesterday, unable to join us on air today, I asked. But yeah, I think it's going to be harder and harder and harder to turn around and blame this one on the Democrats, but that's what Trump is trying to do. In fact, let's play some of the sound. Donald Trump, and I'm not even clear where he was, because he evolved from immigration talk to space wars.
Space wars. Space Force.
But anyways, let's get back to the Trump sound on immigration, or as he would describe it, all the Dems' fault, cut 80.
And I say it's very strongly the Democrats' fault. They're obstruction. They're really obstructionist, and they are obstructing.
You've got the House. You've got the Senate. You are the president. You've got the Supreme Court, effectively 5-4. In what way are Democrats obstructing a GD thing?
And you have prosecutorial discretion. You decided to enforce it to the nth degree as the law permits you. So when Mrs. Trump says and everyone says, oh, we feel so bad, and Paul Ryan, puts his tail between his legs, and because of course all
They're
this
craven
is
cowards.
It's just positioning, leverage for funding the wall that Trump said Mexico was going to pay for.
Human negotiating chips?
Yes.
That's what these children are, these immigrant children?
How else would you describe it? I mean, no law needs to be changed for this to stop happening right now. Period. End of story. Prosecutorial discretion. President could snap his fingers and make it happen, just like he snapped his fingers and started this policy.
Fancy Brian, let's keep going down the list. More Trump on immigration. Not on my watch. Cut 81.
You look at what's happening in Europe, you look at what's happening in other places. We can't allow that to happen to the United States. Not on my watch.
Let's keep going. Trump on immigration, cut 82.
We could have an immigration bill. We could have child separation. We're stuck with these horrible laws. They're horrible laws.
They are horrible laws.
And I'm going to enforce them
them
to the nth degree for negotiating purposes to pay for the wall that my campaign promised to have Mexico pay for. It won't do, and I'm going to try to stick it to the Dems in order to do so.
And the Dreamers. It's not just purely partisan. I mean, this isn't sticking it to the Dems. It's sticking it to children.
That'll probably end up growing up to be Democrats.
Well, left to their own devices. Trump would envision them as all, MI-13? Future gangbangers. Let's keep going. Cut 83. It's #sad.
What's happening is so sad. It can be taken care of quickly.
Yes.
Beautifully.
Yes.
And we'll have safety.
Yes, and you could do it. Right now you have the power as president to do so, and you decline to do so. So anything that you say or do that doesn't enact those actions is just showing how much of a hypocrite you truly are.
Over 2,000 children, actually I think it was 1,995 children, removed from their families in the last 6 weeks. This is new policy. The strident
zero tolerance policy.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Cut 84. It's tough, though. Even Trump knows it's tough. Cut 84.
Nobody has such sad, such bad, and actually, in many cases, such horrible and tough. You see about child separation. You see what's going on there.
I thought Trump liked tough guys.
These are his policies he's bemoaning.
Yes, that he could rectify right now by picking up the phone.
See how god-awful it is? See what I'm doing?
See what I'm doing? I
mean, the Democrats are doing?
Yes, I'm being forced to do this because the Democrats won't do what I want.
Let's keep going. Cut 85. Well, damn it, Dom. We just need some borders.
A country without borders is not a country at all. We need borders. We need security. We need safety. We have to take care of our people.
I don't necessarily disagree with that statement, but you can
We
do
have
so
borders.
Without separating children from their parents as a matter of policy that you enacted very recently. And in fact, didn't I hear weeks ago Sessions essentially say that they wanted this as a deterrent? Don't come here with your kids. They're going to separate them. This is a deterrent. Of course, it's not a deterrent. Immigration is gone up, not down.
Even during these newest harsh policies.
Yes.
Let's keep going. I believe, are we at 86 or 87?
And again, we can do this very quickly if the Democrats come to the table. Everybody wants to do it. We want to do it more than they do.
No, you don't, because you could, and you're not.
Keep going. Cut 87, Donald Trump.
Oh.
This time we will do more than plant our flag and leave our footprints. We will establish a long-term presence, expand our economy.
And he's talking about Space Force. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep going that far down the list. This troubling immigration policy, Dom. And do you know they're taking some of these children by claiming to the parents, oh, we're taking your children to bathe them.
Yeesh.
Perhaps to the showers.
Yeesh.
And the parents later realize they're not bringing my children back. Can you imagine that? I mean, just for a second.
No.
Slow down.
No.
And imagine someone takes your infant child from you. Nursing mothers literally have the babies ripped from their breast. And I don't care. You barely speak the language. I mean, now they're giving out flyers to the immigrants that they've detained, and they're in English, which is of no benefit to most of these immigrants on the southern border.
They should learn to speak English if they're going to come to our country. Of course, I'm very tongue-in-cheek here. If you know me, you know that. But, Crudy, this act by the president and the Republicans love this. Republicans.
It polls well amongst Republicans.
Republicans are loving this action by Donald Trump. And he
cannot be harsh enough for Republicans.
But here's the big thing. And okay, let's say everything Trump is saying is true. What about the asylum seekers? What about those who seek asylum? That is not illegal immigration. That's something very specific and very different.
Well, they better go to a port of entry. That's what Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, if they didn't get the process right, as they walked across the desert, Tom, well, screw them as well. We'll take their kids as well, even those that are legally seeking asylum but not doing so at a port of entry. Well, screw them as well. We'll take their kids.
Let's skip the Space Force right now. We have Jeff Sessions, Attorney General of the United States, speaking on this as well. Let's go to cut 90, Brian.
It is one of the reasons the American people elected President Donald Trump, and that was to end the lawlessness at our southern border.
And how's that working?
And apparently to perpetrate lots of new lawlessness in D.C.
And blame it on everybody else. Cut 91, please.
These children are not entering at ports of entry, but in dangerous places, in deserts, and crossing our fences and attempting to escape law enforcement officers.
Does that mean that they're not seeking asylum? And how can you tell that just by the fact that they come in at a different spot? Just curious. Let's go 92.
We do not want to separate children from their parents.
Yes, you do.
We do not want adults to bring children into this country unlawfully either, placing those children at risk.
So effectively, there's a big but in there. But we're going to do so because this is punitive.
Yes.
This is how we end the lawlessness. We make it such a threat that we will take your children. Well, then you're less likely to perpetrate the lawlessness, seeking asylum, escaping domestic abuse.
Escaping the ravages of drug wars. The very same MS-13 that they're concerned about. Don't you think that some folks may be getting up here to escape that? And I won't even get into what our foreign policy is in South America. But let's keep going on immigration, Sessions 93.
We cannot and will not encourage people to bring their children or other children to the country unlawfully by giving them immunity
No immunity. But what if they're asylum seekers? Again, where do you distinguish this? Can you tell? Now, if I recall, I remember him last week saying, well, most of those asylum seekers, they're fake. Fake news. They're not really, they really don't meet the criteria for seeking asylum. They're just saying that. They're coached to say that.
Actors.
Actors.
I mean, there are righties right now. Who's the skinny blonde with the big Adam's apple?
Ann Coulter.
Ann Coulter claims that these children we see in the videos, they're actors, false flags.
Don't believe him, Mr. President. Let's keep going. A couple more on our Attorney General racist Jeff Sessions.
They're not put in jail, of course. They're taken care of. They remain in the country, even though they don't have a lawful process to be here.
Yeah, they're not in jail.
Well, are you going to throw them back in the desert unaccompanied? I mean, what's Plan B, Sessions? Well, that'll teach them. Throw the baby in the desert.
Let's do the final 195.
If we build a wall, we pass some legislation, we close some loopholes, we won't face these terrible choices. The numbers will end.
I don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm not clear why you do. You're already doing this. This is a new policy, as we've mentioned many times before, enacted by your president. Doesn't have to be this way. Could change it tomorrow. He started this way without Congress. He could end it without Congress. But there's already walls. There's already this policy, and still immigration coming up has increased. How do you explain that, Mr. Sessions?
I'm not even clear that they're attempting to solve the problem for Dreamers, the DACA problem, also of Trump's creation. Supposed to be a bill. And then Trump's like, well, I'm not signing the bill. But that's the Republican bill. Well, maybe I'll consider it. I mean, there's no consistency in these fake freaking Christians that somehow say, well, the Bible tells us, honor the law. Those that would use the Bible to justify their inhumanity, Dom, are the worst effing form of Christians.
It's not the first time it's been done in this history.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Come back with us. Join us on the phones. It's a little blue, little rainy, little Trumpy up in here. 844-967-2789.
I'm not blaming anybody. I don't like to go back and blame. I like to look to the future. I'm not blaming anybody.
And I say it's very strongly the Democrats' fault. Does that make sense?
I'm really proud of what we've been able to do.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Bark and Scratch Outpost. Free local same-day delivery. That's right, free local same-day delivery from Origin, Stella, and Chewy's. Order all your favorite products online at MilwaukeePetFood.com. At Bark and Scratch Outpost, we think outside the bag.
Come on down, you will see. We do it naturally. MilwaukeePetFood.com. Bark and Scratch Outpost.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 59s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on a rainy Monday. You can join us on the lines 844-967-2789.
I think we got one holding. Let's go to our buddy Wisco Paul out there dodging the Scott holes. Don't get fooled, Paul. Just because they got water in them doesn't mean there's not Scott holes on the road, my friend.
That will never fool me. Welcome to Mississippi. We are now Mississippi. That means the Republicans control the Assembly, the Senate, and I'm not sure that Scott hole will get beat because the Democrats will probably primary or put somebody in there that the other ones don't like, and they'll vote Libertarian or Green Party or some stupid thing, and we'll be stuck with this whole stupid thing because this is what it is. The roads are gone anyway, so just grind them up, Scott Hole, and gravel them over. And as far as the other thing there, what's going on the southern border down in Texas, the GOP does not care. They do not care. And I think you're right. It's not tough enough. They'd like to see them. I don't know what they want. I'm just sick of it today. I can't deal with it. Hey, we got to legalize marijuana. Maybe I can get through with that. I don't know. I'm about giving up. Luckily, I'm retired. I can move out of this state. See you guys.
Hey, Paul, real quick, you realize the governor of the state of Wisconsin, Scott Walker, has offered Wisconsin National Guard troops to go, buttress the southern border, to go take some immigrant children away from their parents. The Republican governor of the state of Massachusetts today withdrew his offer of National Guard's troops, said Trump's policy is inhumane. Do you think Scott Walker will draw a distinction, or you think Scott Walker will be right there with Cheeto Jesus? I think he'll be right there. Wisco Paul.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
Drowned in a Scott hole.
It is depressing. But what a beautiful weekend, though. Let's get, we got a few more minutes. Let's get DHS Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen.
So, will Scott Walker, just to finish my point, if you gentlemen don't mind, will Scott Walker stand up to Donald Trump? Will Scott Walker withdraw his offer?
Dude. Not when Trump's polling as highest as he has.
Of National Guard troops.
Never going to happen.
So Scott Walker basically supports this policy as far as we know.
As far as we know, I have not heard otherwise.
He needs to deny his president this policy, or will he embrace
lacking a specific statement of denial? He is embracing. Let's do DHS Secretary Nielsen, 96, please.
We cannot detain children with their parents, so we must either release both the parents and the children. This is the historic get-out-of-jail-free practice of the previous administration, or the adult and the minor will be separated as a result of prosecuting the adult.
and throw the kid in jail as well through no fault of the child.
Let's keep going.
It is important to note that these minors are very well taken care of. Don't believe the press.
Don't believe your lying eyes, the videotape, the tears. No, don't believe the press. Fake news.
We provide food, medical, education, and all needs that the child requests.
Except when they're crying for their mommy or daddy. That's one need they're probably not providing. But hell, Crudy, you know how it's got to be. You got to be strong. No apologies.
We have to do our job. We will not apologize for doing for our job. We have sworn to do this job.
And wrap it up, please.
We've asked Congress to change the law to allow for the expeditious return of unaccompanied alien children, regardless of their country of origin. We are also asking Congress to allow us to keep families together while they are detained.
You couldn't do that right now?
They could do that right now.
Right now. All you got to get a phone call from the president. Do it. And you can solve the whole thing. But no, then you can't stick it to the Dems. You can't stick it to those who disagree with you or for some reason thought that Donald Trump was telling the truth when he said he'd get Mexico to pay for that wall.
Dominic, got a fine guest coming back. He is former Wisconsin Senator Tim Cullen. Also, coming up tomorrow, big debate. Dip Fight Club. Kathleen Beinhout, Malin Mitchell, and Newmarket University Law School polling. It'll drop to you in the happy hour. Charles Franklin on Wednesday. It will be a big week. More of us coming back. 844-967-2789. Call and text. Always welcome here.
If I can take on 100,000 protesters, I can do the same across the world.
Here at Bounce Milwaukee, we not only want families and friends to build connections, we also want to grow those connections in our community. That's why every Wednesday night from 5 to 8 p.m., we host Refuel the Resistance. It's a great chance to have a drink in our arcade bar, try something from our fantastic restaurant, connect with progressive activists, and support local organizations. For more information about Bounce Milwaukee's Refuel the Resistance, visit us at bouncemilwaukee.com or call 414-312-4357.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Making bad worse. China wrongdealing. I'm Mike Moss.
Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi says Republican bills in the House will make the immigration problem worse.
The fraud of the Republicans saying they're going to correct this in their bill when what they have in their bill makes matters worse for children. And those bills must be rejected.
President Trump, meanwhile, says immigration law must be reformed.
Not on his watch, the president says.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility.
Despite mounting criticism of his administration's clampdown on those coming into the U.S. illegally, leading to separation of children from their families, Mr. Trump urged Democrats to negotiate an immigration bill to his liking, one that funds the border wall at $25 billion. There are echoes of campaign rhetoric about immigrants in general.
And they could be murderers and thieves and so much else.
The president wants to end or curtail some legal immigration programs he claims lead to admission of many criminals. Bob Costantini, the White House.
Hillary Clinton says the southern border policy is creating a moral and humanitarian crisis.
Those who selectively use the Bible to justify this cruelty are ignoring a central tenet of Christianity.
Senator Richard Blumenthal charges the president with misleading Americans on the report into the FBI handling of the Clinton email case.
You're dealing with a president of the United States that has no respect for those norms and rules. And he is distorting this report. He is weaponizing it to discredit the special counsel.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says China is forcing the U.S. to crack down on unfair trade.
They engage in behavior that American business would never engage in, that is using investment to exert political influence and control over rival nations.
Concern about a trade war pushed Wall Street down all day. The Dow closed down more than 100 points, S&P down 6. I'm Mike Moss.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. And so, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Washington Capitals are looking for a new head coach just after winning the Stanley Cup.
55-year-old Barry Trotz has resigned as head coach of the team. He came into the year with an uncertain contract situation as ownership and GM Brian McClellan declined to give him a contract extension. The team thanked Trotz for his efforts in a statement and said it was grateful for the leadership he provided over his 4 seasons at the helm. Trotz has 762 career wins, the 5th most in NHL history, and in 4 seasons under Trotz, the Caps had the best record in the NHL. They went to the postseason all 4 years under Trotz, including finishing with the best record in the league 2 years in a row prior to their Stanley Cup winning season this season. John Stolness, Washington.
Massachusetts' highest court is expected to rule on whether a proposed millionaire tax can go before state voters in November. That proposal would impose a surtax of 4% on any portion of an individual income that exceeds $1 million. I'm Mike Moss.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a landmark redistricting challenge against Wisconsin's Republican-friendly legislative map, saying those who brought the challenge lacked legal standing. The ruling leaves in place the current legislative map. The case was sent back to federal district court essentially on procedural grounds. The ruling means that the hopes of Wisconsin Democrats to win back the assembly will remain very difficult. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, a 40% chance of rain with highs only in the upper 60s. For Wednesday, partly sunny with highs around 70 degrees. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Blue Monday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we got a fine guest. He returns to the show. He is former Wisconsin State Senator, former Majority Leader, Democrat Tim Cullen. Senator, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be on.
Thank you, Tim.
Tim, I know you and your former colleague Dale Schultz have gone all around the state of Wisconsin advocating for fair elective maps, amongst other issues. What was your reaction to the U.S. Supreme Court effectively punting on the gerrymandering case, ruling coming down earlier today, sir?
Well, it's a setback. It's not a loss. The case is unsettled. If we would have lost, the Supreme Court would have dismissed our case, but they did not. They sent it back to the circuit court, the lower court, a court, by the way, which said Wisconsin's current maps are unconstitutional. So, as a practical matter, what it means is the unconstitutional maps in place today will be in place for the November election, this August primary November election. But this is far from over, and the court actually said, in their own words, they said this issue about whether there can be excessive partisan gerrymandering, their own words were, it's unsettled and it's unresolved.
Now, Tim, if memory serves, you have advocated for the Iowa model, which would encourage, let's call it square districts, logical districts, in a nonpartisan fashion to be drawn. Tim, if my math serves, I don't see how the Dems possibly win back the assembly under the current gerrymandered maps. And unless you win back both houses, both the Senate and the assembly, Tim, I don't know how we move forward with any sort of meaningful legislative change like adopting the Iowa model, because the Republicans are going to fight it tooth and nails. Tim, how do we get from here to there?
Well, we keep talking about the fact that they are going to run elections under unconstitutional maps, maps where the elections are decided the day the maps are drawn, not on election day. And we're going to just keep fighting for the ultimate solution. Of course, is something like the Iowa plan, where the politicians, the legislators, do not draw the maps. In Iowa, the agency that drafts all the other legislation, the Iowa legislature considers, they draw the maps, and they cannot use any political considerations in their maps, and you end up with a whole bunch of squares in Iowa. Rectangles, and that's because they aren't zigged and zagged like they are in Wisconsin. So that's the ultimate place we want to get anyway. even if we had won this case and they would have thrown out these maps, we would have wanted to replace them with an Iowa-like system. And we're just going to keep talking about it. I started this based on like a big stretch, but women began the effort to get the right to vote in 1848, and then they got it in 1920. Sometimes you don't win things. Sometimes you don't win things overnight. But we keep going. I think it's important that they sent the case back to the 3-judge panel, which ruled our current maps unconstitutional. That would tell me that panel, which said the maps are unconstitutional, are not just going to sit on this, that they're going to take some action. I don't know what all they're going to do. They're going to probably try to get the case changed so that it answers some of the specifics. The U.S. Supreme Court apparently wants to know how individuals or groups are harmed by gerrymandering. I think that's a rather interesting conclusion that they would worry about. If maps are drawn in a way that guarantee the elections the day the maps are drawn, why isn't that something that the United States Supreme Court should care about? But we'll keep going. Like I say, if the case had been dismissed, we would have lost. We didn't lose. We just got delayed.
Tim, historically, the courts have had to decide the redistricting of the state of Wisconsin. It's only been the most recent decade that the census fell in a year when one party controlled all aspects of state government here in the state of Wisconsin. Of course, we're talking about the Republicans currently, Tim. Under current circumstances, I guess, is the best that we can hope for, because we got another census coming down the pike, Tim, is the best that we can hope for divided governance, so there's some chance the courts draw these maps again for us in 2021, sir?
That's clearly a wonderful short-term solution. It's how the maps were drawn after the 80 census, the 90 census, and the 2000 census. They were drawn by a federal judge, and they were fair. You didn't hear any screaming across the state at all during all those 30 years that those maps were in place. So that divided government is another short-term answer, because there will be no gerrymandering when there's divided government. So the Democrats win either the governorship or one of the houses at a minimum. There will be no gerrymandering, assuming that stands in 2021 after the 2020 election. The Supreme Court may act on this before the 2020 election. Who knows how fast this district court will act and send the case back to the United States Supreme Court.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. That's the voice of Tim Cullen. He's a former Democratic state senator here in Wisconsin and a former majority leader, talking about the Gil Whitford case. Tim, in the district court, before it went to the Supreme Court, there was one judge who dissented on the issue of standing. Griesbach, I believe the name was. And so it seems that the U.S. Supreme Court has taken up that position. In Kagan's response today, she basically lays out a roadmap, and I just want to read a brief part of this, if I may. Among other ways of proving packing and cracking, a plaintiff could produce an alternative map or set of alternative maps comparably consistent with traditional districting principles, under which her vote would carry more weight. So couldn't we just, is the approval as simple as, when you want to prove standing in these cases, is just show them what the previous maps would look like or what the Iowa model maps would look like and how that would impact each one of the plaintiffs?
That makes a lot of sense to me, but this stuff, I'm not a lawyer, so this is way above my pay grade. I don't know how we're going to go back, what we're going to go back to the U.S. Supreme Court with, but that would be a possibility. They seem to be not interested in simple explanations of what happened. When the state, the fundamental reality is that the overall voting mood of the state in a given year, in other words, how do we vote for president or in the presidential year? How do we vote for governor in the non-presidential years? And if you compare that, you'll find that in 2012, President Obama was reelected. The Democrats won the state, Democrats got more votes statewide than the Republicans did. You would think if we had fair maps, the legislature then should have been maybe tilting a little bit Democrat because the state was Democrat that year, or even tilting a little bit Republican. But it wasn't. The Assembly was 60-39 or something like that for the Republicans, even though the Democrats won statewide. You go to 2014 when Walker wins, you would think that the but he won with 52% of the vote, fairly narrow. You'd think that the Assembly results would be a fairly narrow difference between Republicans and Democrats in the Assembly. Maybe if Walker wins 52%, maybe the Republicans control the Assembly 52-47 or something like that to reflect the statewide voting if there's no gerrymandering. You go to 2016, was practically a tie between President Trump and Hillary Clinton, and yet the Assembly comes back Republican like 64-35.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see that as I guess significant.
Tim, what about the thought or the rationale offered by Republicans that we, the Democrats, pack ourselves in urban centers and they are more evenly dispersed across the rural areas? Tim, do you give any credence to that conjecture, sir?
No. One of the things that I think isn't often made clear is you can't draw a map where all the 99 assembly seats are competitive. That everyone knows that. There's going to be Democratic assembly seats in Milwaukee and Madison. There's going to be Republican assembly seats in Waukesha and Ozaukee, Washington County. That's a given. But that's not where the gerrymandering occurs. The gerrymandering occurs on the fringes, on the edges of these wired districts, or they use the wired districts to maximize the vote in outer areas. But the reality is that the map drawn with the best of intentions, with a clean heart completely, you'd probably have at least 60 districts of the 99 assembly seats that would not be competitive. It's just because of where people live, like you were talking about. But maybe it might even be 70. But you can still, even if you have 70, you can have 29 competitive districts. And those 70 that are not competitive are probably about equally divided. There's wired Republican areas of the state, and there's wired Democratic areas of the state. But it's the rest of the state, the other third of the state, where you could have competitive districts if you wanted to, if that was your goal. Their goal, one of the things that came out of this investigation about how they drew the maps was when the Republicans gerrymandered the state in 2011 with these maps, the people who did that work for them and drew those maps were asked to predict 16 months before the 2012 election, which was the first election that was going to occur with those maps. These folks, these experts who drew those maps, were asked to predict what the outcome of those in those particular districts are going to be. And several of those districts, they were within 1% of predicting in June of 2011 what the results of that district was going to be, assembly district was going to be, in November of 2012. In other words, they said it's going to be, the Republicans are going to get 58.2, the Republican got 58%. I mean, there ever was needed any proof that the intention of the map drawing was to guarantee a Republican victory in a significant majority of the districts. And that right there, I thought, and that came out in there was another federal court case about they had destroyed the power of Hispanic votes in Milwaukee in a couple of assembly seats, and the courts have always been very strict about this, and they're exploring and getting information, asking for information. In that case, that's how they found this out. That they drew the maps with the absolute intention of gerrymandering, and they predicted the results. They were within 1% of being right.
Senator Cullen, I got one last question for you. Be it the voter ID trial, the John Doe 2 decision, or the gerrymandering decision, the U.S. Supreme Court keeps breaking Democrats' hearts here in the state of Wisconsin, sir, knowing that I don't want to depend on them to solve any of our bad governance issues here. What do you think the path forward is if it does not include a Supreme Court ruling, Tim?
Well, the path forward is first of all to have at least divided government, one. The other is to keep pushing for an Iowa-type system. And another route is you have divided government. You can't reach an agreement. Send it to one federal judge like we did in the 80s and 90s, the first decade of this century. So there are ways to have the election results at the Assembly and State Senate levels somewhat reflect the results of the wishes of the voters statewide. That should be like a no-brainer, I would think.
Tim Cullen, former majority leader of Fine State Senator, a Democrat. Tim, sir, I don't know if I got the patience to wait 40 years for the U.S. Supreme Court to solve this problem, but we certainly appreciate the insights you've lent to our audience today, sir.
And I don't have a lifespan to wait 40 years myself, so there you go.
Tim, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, Tim's done some good, clean living. I'm not clear actuarially speaking.
I hope you get to be Tim's age now.
Yes. I'd take it. If I could lock it in right now, I would take it. I don't know if I will live long enough to see good governance restored here in the state of Wisconsin.
We'll live long enough to take your calls. 844-967-2789. It's the 420 break. We'll be right back.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? Freedom.
Bark and Scratch Outpost.
Our friendly staff is available 7 days a week to show you a variety of high-quality, local, and national brand pet foods. Be sure to visit our freezer area for a large selection of diets and bones. Bark and Scratch Outpost, 5835 West Blue Mound Road. Leashed pets are always welcome. At Bark and Scratch Outpost, we think outside the bag.
Come on down, you will see. We do it naturally. MilwaukeePetFood.com. Bark and Scratch Outpost.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on enemy anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santel, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
Hey, you want to get high, man?
People are strange
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Women sing wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube pages. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line, talk or text 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, Tim Cullen, a fine one, former state of Wisconsin senator and twice elected, I believe, majority leader in the Wisconsin State Senate. Going back to the phones, 844-967-2789. Who's up?
Curtis from West Dallas, you are up. Thanks for calling, Curtis. Happy Monday. What do you got for us today?
Happy Monday, Diamond Cruz. All I can tell you is, you know what, when you guys are saying we're still far down, but they can always look up, because you know what, if you want to change the state, everybody's got to go vote. You know, that's the only thing that's going to change.
Curtis, did I understand, were you at some sort of protest action in Madison today?
I wish I would have been. No, I was working.
I must be thinking about a different guy, Curtis. I'm sorry, I don't mean to confuse you.
There's a lot of good Curtises out there.
You're not the only one, huh, man? Yeah, you're right, Curtis. And my understanding, what the Election Commission sent out a couple 100,000 note cards. People get registered. Go
350,000.
350,000. Yeah, so Curtis, you're absolutely right. People need to get dialed in, need to register, need to go vote. Take your friends, tell your family, because you know what happens when we don't take action, when we don't do something, then those lesser among us will take power.
Of course. Another thing I want to say, Crude, I want to say thanks for having these debates. They're really awesome.
Well, tune in tomorrow, Curtis. Going to have another awesome debate. It's going to be Kathleen Feinhout versus Mike. Let me restate that. Malin Mitchell. Had one the other day. It was Mike McCabe and Kelda Royce. Tomorrow, tune in at 3 o'clock. I mean, hell, listen all the time. Just super glue your preset in the car. But also, don't forget tomorrow, the big Dem Fight Club. Malin Mitchell, Kathleen Feinhout, right here in our Brady Street studio. Come back with us. Your phone calls, 844-967-2789. Also works for text.
Your name when you're strange, when you're strange, when you're strange.
We are people of compassion.
Ooh, I'm going to hit the pause button right there.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Hi, everybody. Did you know that Scott Walker spelled backwards is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network? I know, I was amazed too.
you concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Toxic chemicals have been discovered in groundwater near Lake Michigan. Tyco Fire Products, a division of Johnson Controls, said they discovered the chemicals in well samples on June 7th. The toxic chemicals are known as perfluorinated chemicals and were found near the Tyco manufacturing plant in Marinette on the banks of the Menominee River, a tributary to Green Bay. Perfluorinated chemicals have been in the news recently because the Trump administration wanted to delay the release of a study that would show the chemicals pose greater health risks than previously indicated by regulators. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
It's good to be king. Just for a while.
The Devil's Advocates, because
be there in velvet.
Freedom.
Yeah, to give them a smile. It's good to get high and never come down.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dom, staying in Wisconsin. That's where we live. That's where we do this wonderful job that we do. You know, super cool, greatest radio show ever. Dominic, want to talk about your girl, Nurse Ratched.
Leah
Bookmer. U.S. Senate candidate, Republican, if you didn't know, Dom. Were you in doubt? You won't be after you see her new TV ad. Right. Republican U.S. Senate candidate, Leah Bookmer, is out with her first TV ad of the campaign Monday, and it will sure gain some attention, sitting at her kitchen table with a handgun by her side. Little Annie Oakley, Bookmer, discusses death threats she received during the acrimonious state debates, such as Act 10 legislation. And Dom, I believe we've got the sound of this Bookmer ad. First and foremost, who sits at the kitchen table and throws the Dirty Harry piece on the table next to
someone
her?
that's contemplating something. You don't sit around the house, generally speaking, and I have some guns, and I don't sit around the house with my piece on my empty dining room table looking at the camera discussing death threats or anything else. You pull the gun out for one reason, to use it. Otherwise, you put it away.
What about as a prop in a television ad?
Well, hell, then anything goes. Let's listen to it. We cut it. We found it on YouTube's today. Brian, if you would please, let's hear Nurse Ratched's first TV ad.
have someone threaten your life for what you believe in? I have. When Scott Walker and I beat the union bosses, cut billions in taxes, and defunded Planned Parenthood, the left couldn't take it. With President Trump, we can do the same in Washington. Standing on principle takes guts. I know what it takes. I'm Leah Vukmir, and I approve this message.
Now, when I first saw this, Crudy, I did not notice the piece on the table. I just thought,
I like to think of that more as a peacemaker.
Is that what it was? A peacemaker? So
Looked
yeah,
like a revolver and a holster.
Now, I had to do
357 if I had to venture a guess.
I had to do a little quick research when I saw the ad. I'm like, well, come on, did she really get threatened? You know, you never know these days. But apparently, during the Act 10 or whatever crisis was happening at the time, there was death threats issued. I didn't see a police report. I understand there was an FBI investigation. I do not and did not find any conclusion.
Anyone charged?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Are we clear that the audio sound that we heard is
nope.
in any way related to
Nope.
Leah Vukmir's
Nope.
alleged death threats?
Nope, I'm not clear.
One more question. Are we clear it's not just her warm, fuzzy personality that's causing people to make death threats?
She was a nurse. Maybe it was one of her coworkers, you know, at wherever she worked before she became a Wisconsin senator.
She is nearly... I mean, I'm sure her children must like her, right? You would think.
Sure.
But the rest of us, not so much.
Well,
she's truly an unlikable human being.
And here's again the conflation. The union bosses, after talking about death threats. So the implication is...
Union bosses made death threats.
Right. I mean, that's what she is essentially saying. And I know a couple of union bosses, and I don't believe that for a minute. So I do wonder what was the conclusion of the FBI investigation into the death threats. Death threats are bad. People don't do that. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody, right, left, or radio hosts. Crudy, I haven't gotten any. You ever getting a death threat?
Only from you.
Besides from me?
No, I think you are literally the only one that's ever threatened to take my life.
It's because I love you, man.
I think it was drunken rambling, but had you had your peacemaker on the table.
If we were sitting at the house and I pulled the gun out and stuck it on the table and you're at one end of the dining room table and I'm at the other, would you be a little more concerned then?
Well, I would encourage you to play, let's call it Russian roulette. Only knowing you've got, a handgun and not a revolver.
It's not a revolver, right. It's got
I would
a clip.
encourage you to go first.
Always leave the chamber empty, Crudy. You go second. 844-967-2789. Let's get to some callers. Mark from the Sac, you're up. Happy Monday, Mark. What do you got for us today?
Well, that's firearm safety number one. If you're not actively using it, that chamber had better be empty. I wonder how many death threats Tammy Baldwin's received, and I don't notice her, playing ads with her, with the Remington 870 on the kitchen table, which it just, and it's tough to figure out what the heck.
No, it's not tough. Mark, I got it. I already know the solution, man. Of course, she's reaching out to the Trumpers. This has got nothing to do with anybody else. It's all about the Trumpers. It's about her and Nicholson. It's about her getting the Trump build the wall, ban, abortions, terrible union bosses, and here's me and my piece. That's what it is. That's it. That's the only message as far as I'm concerned.
But my guess is that Tammy Baldwin has received a lot more death threats than Leah Vukmir has. But you don't notice, you do not notice Tammy, using that as a campaign issue, and yet we know we probably, that it's probably not a stretch. I mean, I just can't, and I can comprehend it. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but you wouldn't think she would need to just whip that up. I mean, froth it up.
Why not? I mean, what surprises you about that in this day and age, man?
I mean, she's laying out all her political wedge issues. Why not throw a peacemaker on the desk?
Absolutely. I guess it just, I'm foolish for even asking the question, because it just, you'd think that they'd come up with something better than this, and for the people that swallow it, I guess there's little hope for them, for them to ever wake up. Because they've drank the Kool-Aid deep, and we see it on posted on the site. I mean, the people that think, that they are perfectly comfortable seeing children in cages, and the same people who claim to care about little babies. You don't notice them complaining about the Tyco plant dumping the contaminants in the water that causes birth defects. It's
well, those are Democratic babies, Mark. So, or future Democratic voters. So that's a whole different circumstance.
Yeah, not nearly as important, perhaps.
Yeah, well, that's even sadder.
Right, man. This is terrible. Hey, thanks for the call, man. We always appreciate it, Mark.
It bugs the snot out of me that these threats were made. Because I don't feel like they were legitimate threats. I've never heard of any of our politicians. I'm not saying some politicians never been in harm's way. I think of Harvey Milk. But I certainly don't think that this circumstance was a credible threat of death, be it Governor Walker's wife being threatened to be gutted like a deer, although apparently the only witness, Chief Irwin. The only credible witness, the guy, the chief.
Capitol Police Chief.
Yeah.
Retired.
His chief of the Gestapo.
Yeah.
He remembers.
But was there ever a police report filed or an investigation?
Not that I've ever seen demonstrated.
No.
But again, Chief Irwin, he remembers.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it must be true.
Right.
And Scott
Walker
Walker used that immediately.
In Iowa.
In the Iowa Freedom Summit. When we stood down that 100,000 protesters, I'm thinking, you never faced any protesters. You hid in the rat holes. And he, of course, said, and my wife was threatened. And we've heard people talk about, and they picketed his house. Well, I'm not encouraging the picketing of house. And certainly I'm not encouraging threats against someone's life. But it bugs the you-know-what out of me because these were not legitimate. But Scott Walker gets to play like it was. And Lee Vukmer gets to make a little hay on the death threat she claims she had. Perhaps she did. But, for all the people that have said dastardly things to me, and I don't know that many other than you, Dom, have threatened to kill me. But the threat's been made. And I can tell you, I certainly didn't think it was a credible threat. And, there's people trolling us, saying bad stuff about us all the time. If I took every idiot's word, they're coming after us, Dom.
I know where
Get your peacemaker out.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think in some ways she's not shining a positive light, and we would always encourage. And although we get a little snarky on the show, civil discourse. That's how democracies and republics are supposed to operate. But
you get a
little
snarky.
Well, I do, and me. But it's more of a philosophy to endeavor to. It's a big goal. Sometimes it doesn't happen when you got to deal with D-bags like President Trump. When all someone does is hurl insults and lie to your face, they don't necessarily deserve the respect of civil discourse. But
how about a candidate that would embrace
the inference, if I just real quick, of death threats to Leah Vukmer, and then she lists off union bosses, Planned Parenthood, and so on, I think is terrible. Unless one of those organizations or people were found to be anywhere involved, how do we know it wasn't her husband's ex-girlfriend or maybe her kid? We don't know enough about this particular issue for her to just stand up and say, I was threatened, and those terrible union bosses and repeal Planned Parenthood or defund Planned Parenthood. Because the inference is all right there. How do you know? How do we know? No one knows, of course. And that's the problem with this particular ad that I see.
844-967-2789. Let's go to the phones one more time this segment and bring our pal Nacho on board. How you doing today, Nacho?
Good, Governor. How you doing?
All right, man.
We live in the Midwest. It's afternoon here. I think even on the left coast, it's afternoon, fella.
Where you at today, Ignacio? Uh-oh, we lose him?
Tell you guys, happy birthday to you.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Nacho.
I really apologize. It's lack of manners. The second thing is about separating the children and everything. Did you know when that was used extensively? And you might think of it back when World War II, Hitler had the concentration camps. They separated the children and the men and the women. That was big. Nazis. Not saying that Trump's a Nazi, but he really uses a lot of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I know the slave owners divided families by children and the adults, And, I would guess, and I don't know this for fact, Nacho, but I would guess during the Japanese internment camps during World War II here in the United States, I would suspect there'd be some separation of families. Although I don't know all of the historical context, I don't mean to make an assertion if it's not true. But I know the slave owners certainly separated children from their families.
Thanks for the call, Ignacio.
The original sin.
This is not the first time that this type of thing has been done. And if this is the strict interpretation of the law that this administration is now adhering to, and they have the power to not do it if the president's wife thinks it's terrible, if the former First Lady Bush,
Laura Pickles Bush,
thinks it's terrible, lots of Dems, even some Republicans think it's terrible, you don't need congressional action to fix the problem that you created by going to the nth degree to enforce this law. You have the opportunity simply as commander-in-chief and chief executive of this country to not do that. To willingly go there for a negotiating tactic is entirely up to you, and it's entirely on you.
Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. Calling us right now is entirely on you at 844-967-2789. Text toll-free. It's the only number you need. Once again, 844-96-PARTY. We'll be right back on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio Network.
If I can take on 100,000 protesters, I can do the same across the world.
We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house.
Having a great time.
When you're outside, we'll discuss whatever problem you have, okay?
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate. And they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99%. The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
And we are back. Thank you for listening. Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming live on the Facebook and YouTube channels, on Twitter at Devil Radio, on the party line. Talk or text 844-967-2789.
Dominic, earlier in the show, I wondered aloud whether Scott Walker would indeed send Wisconsin National Guard troops to the southern border. There was a different governor, state of Massachusetts, a Republican, said, what the Trump administration is doing is inhumane. We will not send Massachusetts troops. And I wondered, would Scott Walker match him? Would Scott Walker decide this was inhumane? As a preacher's kid, would he see the hypocrisy of using the Bible to justify taking children from their parents? And I think we've got our answer,
well,
Dob.
You asked me that question. What was my response to you? Do you remember?
I'm not clear.
All right, let's read it.
Wisconsin National Guard troops headed to southwest border.
I told you, man. Of course he'll do it.
This one at NBC15.com. About 24 Wisconsin National Guard troops are heading to Arizona to bolster border security. The Wisconsin National Guard announced Monday, that's today, that Arizona officials had requested the state's help. The Wisconsin troops are volunteers from differing units around the state. Additional Wisconsin troops are expected to head to Arizona in coming weeks. They will be under state control, but federally funded. President Donald Trump in April directed the U.S. Department of Defense to support securing the southern border. The Wisconsin deployment comes as Trump's administration is taking pointed criticism for separating children from families trying to cross the border illegally. The Wisconsin National Guard has supported southwest border security in the past. In 2016, when then President George W. Bush called the National Guard troops to the border for a 2-year mission. So the answer is, of course, Scott Walker will support the inhumane policies of Donald Trump, and he will do so with other people's children, and he will send National Guard troops to the border to go take other people's children, the immigrants, from their parents.
Crudy, you mentioned it. This is on the Raw story. On Monday, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker canceled the deployment of the state's National Guard to the southwest border. Citing Trump immigration policy, a government spokesperson told WGBH the state would not facilitate the federal government's mistreating of kids. Here's a quote. Governor Baker directed the National Guard not to send any assets or personnel to the southwest border today because the federal government's current actions are resulting in the inhumane treatment of children, Baker Communications Director Lizzie Guyton told WGBH in a statement. As bipartisan outrage over Trump administration policy continues, other governors have signaled they wouldn't send troops if asked to, including Oregon Governor Kate Brown and Vermont Governor Phil Scott. But apparently, Crudy, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker will facilitate this action.
Well, that's because unlike those conscientious Republicans, Scott Walker has no conscience. He will use our troops, which is completely inappropriate. I mean, we're not a border state, wanker. And above and beyond that, other than to suck up to Cheeto Jesus.
What else do you need?
Other than to show yourself inhumane.
Yes.
I can be as inhumane as the president. Other than doing that, Scott Walker, which you succeeded at today by sending Wisconsin National Guard troops.
Rule of law, man. You know, these Republicans and must follow the law. Did the Republicans follow the law when it pertained to coordinating with third-party issue advocacy groups in the state of Wisconsin, Crudy?
No, they just broke the law and then changed the law and
are Republicans following,
codified it.
Are the Republicans following law when it comes to defending the Affordable Care Act?
Well, no, they're not, Dom. In fact, they're unconstitutionally not protecting the law against a lawsuit brought on behalf of a number of Republican attorney generals, including Brad Schimmel, right here from the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, so the Republicans don't always adhere to the letter and strict adherence to the letter of the law. That only happens when it's a negotiating tool and when you can stick it to some minorities.
No, when it's biblical law, Dom.
Oh, right. That's right. God says put the children in cages.
Who would Jesus take away from their parents, Dom? That's the real question.
Well, Jesus wouldn't have to because, the preacher's kid's going to handle that for him.
Oh, yeah, that's Scott Walker's role. Apparently, through Wisconsin National Guard troops, which are being sent to the southwest border, despite the illogical nature of Wisconsin sending its National Guard troops to buttress a border across the country. It's not even efficient.
So while other governors are backing off because of this inhumane treatment of children, Governor Walker steps into the breach to show just how inhumane he can be. I wonder what his dad would think about this. He was the preacher, right? I mean, religious folks? Conservatives? I'd love to hear it. Please, lay it on me, man. Give me some biblical action. Tell me why this is so okay.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Your call's always welcome. 844-967-2789. But if you're a conservative and you plan to defend the governor or Donald Trump's policies on immigration, taking children from their families, call it your own peril. I would just say that. Call it your own peril. We won't screen you. Come on board.
Bring it.
But we're going to bring it right back. 844-967-2789. Devil's Advocates, Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio Network.
It's been brought in.
It's nothing as it seems. The little that you see, it's hard.
We have to do our job. We will not apologize for doing for our job. We have sworn to do this job.
We follow orders or people die.
Having a great time.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
What are you waiting for? It's time to join the union. I'm Andy Buck, field representative with the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 7 of Wisconsin. You're already doing the work. You deserve to make a fair wage. You work hard, but your body isn't going to last forever. Cash feels great in your hand, but having health insurance, a safe workplace, and a secure retirement gives you peace of mind. Join the union and make your job your career. Look us up online, Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. If you're a painter, glazer, drywall finisher, start getting paid like it. Join the union.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
The first step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org. You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance.
Trump border policy, watchdog report. I'm Ann Cates. A new poll finds 2/3 of Americans disapprove of the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy that forces children to be separated from their parents at the Mexican border. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen says it's time for Congress to change immigration laws.
DHS is no longer ignoring the law. We are enforcing the laws as they exist on the books. As long as illegal entry remains a criminal offense, DHS will not look the other way. DHS will faithfully execute the laws enacted by Congress, as we are sworn to do.
The Senate Judiciary Committee has heard testimony on the government watchdog summary that faulted former FBI Director James Comey for his handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray says the Bureau is already working to fix the Inspector General's concerns.
Although the report did not find any evidence of political bias or improper considerations ultimately impacting the investigation under review, the report did identify errors of judgment, violations of or disregard for policy, and decisions that, at least in the benefit of hindsight, were certainly not the best choices.
The Supreme Court has returned challenges over congressional voting maps to the lower courts to resolve. Correspondent Jessica Schneider reports election districts in 2 states won't change for now.
We're dealing with 2 cases that the Supreme Court has issued rulings on. One in Wisconsin, where the maps seemingly favored Republicans. In Maryland, the maps seemingly favored Democrats. The Supreme Court saying the standing in the Wisconsin case was not there, so the plaintiff in this case just didn't have the power to bring this case. In the Maryland case, they also ruled on procedural grounds.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by triple digits, closing down 103 points. The S&P down 6, the Nasdaq up 1. I'm Ann Cates.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Person who's against these regulations to keep poop out of your water and poison out of your food. If, one of their offspring had a third arm coming out of their forehead.
I would just think that would be awkward. You'd be very top heavy.
But you would be one heck of a football player.
How would they make a helmet?
All you gotta do is cut a hole in the helmet for the hand to come through and you could catch
but then
passes
you're elbowing
all over
everybody in the face every time you walk around.
Wear an elbow pad. You'd be fine.
How would you see?
You would be a heck of a football player.
Would you be an arm unicorn?
414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m.
Parents concerned about their kids' obsession with video games now have the World Health Organization in their corner.
The WHO is classifying gaming addiction as a mental health disorder and is adding it to the 11th edition of its International Classification of Diseases. Medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta says there are certain symptoms kids exhibit when they've crossed over into a mental disorder.
When you're choosing to play the game instead of other activities which are really important in your life, not going to school, not sleeping, not eating, not having relationships with friends.
But Dr. Gupta says most kids in the U.S. do not have a mental disorder.
I think, when you start to talk about percentages, it may even be in the single-digit percentage.
I'm John Stolnis.
A funeral will be held for fashion designer Kate Spade this week in Kansas City, Missouri, where she was born. Services for Spade are planned for Thursday afternoon at the same church where her grandparents were wed. I'm Ann Cates.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The city of Milwaukee is submitting its bid today to become the host city for the Democratic National Convention in 2020. The convention will be held July 13th through the 16th of 2020, and Milwaukee is among 8 finalist cities. The other 7 cities are Atlanta, Birmingham, Denver, Houston, Miami Beach, New York, and San Francisco. The host city is expected to be named either late this year or early next year. And the Brewers lost to the Phillies yesterday 10-9. They now go to Pittsburgh to start a 3-game series with the Pirates this evening. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. You're listening to Resistance Radio.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we're sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour here on Brady. And the waters have subsided.
All right.
It was like ankle deep. The waters were flowing over the curbs. I was a little concerned we might have to roll for it, Dom.
We'll be okay, man.
Lots of topics for this hour. Leah, I'll shoot you in the face, Vukmer. He's got a new campaign ad, peacemaker by her side. Governor
Sitting at home in a spick and span clean house with a dining room table.
Pretty red sweater.
With
the color of NRA blood.
A pistol on the table. I mean, if think about this for a minute. If you walk into that scene, there's only 2 things going to happen, right? She's shooting you or she's shooting herself. I mean, that's the image. It's like a bad movie that comes to mind when I saw this video. I won't be ignored, Crudy.
Why not a gun rack in the back of the pickup truck?
Right.
With the Confederate flag.
It wouldn't be as readily available.
And we've also spoken quite a bit about the Supreme Court failing to rule on the merits of the Wisconsin gerrymandering case. And of course, Dom, the inhumane policies of the Trump administration, while he blames them on the Democrats, we know it's really Republicans. And Republicans support these policies.
Hell, Governor Walker's going to send some troops down to help out.
That's what we are reading and saw reported at NBC15.com. Wisconsin National Guard troops going to the southwest border to help, tear some immigrant babies away from the moms.
Tase those kids.
Thank you, Governor Scott Walker, for doing your part.
Way to stand up, Scotty.
844-967-2789. Apparently a few people want to get in on the phones, Dom. Let's get to them.
Ford from Milwaukee, you're next. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us?
Hey, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Certainly.
Can hear you
How
fine,
doing?
Ford.
All right, great. So earlier before you were asking for a conservative to call in, and I apologize. I'm not a conservative, but I'm a young guy. I work with a lot of young conservatives, relatively around my age. I'm 26.
All right.
Early 30s. So their main media they really consume is not necessarily Fox News, but rather Breitbart and InfoWars. And today I brought up the whole immigration debacle, kids getting ripped away from their parents. And so the Associated Press released an article, and they used the word cages, right? And Breitbart had a response article. Are you familiar with Breitbart?
Yes.
Okay, the Breitbart article in response said, these aren't cages. This is an actual quote. They are chain-linked partitions. Which, can you believe that? This was an actual article, and this was the response when I mentioned, like, can you believe this? And they're like, they're not. It's not a.
That's not a cage.
Think of them more as kitty kennels, Ford.
Yeah, they're kitty kennels.
And you know, I just wanted to chime in there that the younger conservatives, man, I got to call them out on their BS every time because it's like I can't help myself. But
Ford, do you find that they kind of, wormhole into one particular information source? I mean, is there any effort to, go out and seek opposing ideas and, maybe come up with your own opinion?
Well, not particularly. I try to give them as much nuance as I can, but honestly, I mean, the way Breitbart and InfoWars work is that they really get you in with the entertainment aspects of it. And then the media aspect is coming up with complete lies or spinning the story.
Yeah.
Or in this case, the chain link partition. If you look that up on Google, it's literally, what you got, cubicles of fences? I mean, I don't understand what the difference between a cage and a partition really is. And that is literally, so far, the only response I've gotten when I've tried to debate on stating that this is nothing more than this is a human rights issue. I mean, like, how?
Yeah, is there any empathy for? Is there any empathy? Do any of these younger Republicans, 20s, 30s? If they have kids, they're probably pretty young. Is there any empathy of this act of having a child ripped from their parents' arms? Just because they're looking for a better life and perhaps legally, rightfully, humanely seeking asylum in this country?
To be completely honest, no. I try to explain the historical context as to why people are coming from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. And I say, hey, you have to look at the history as to why people are fleeing these countries. Why are people leaving El Salvador? Perhaps it was death squads sponsored by the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a millennial myself, and I'll say sometimes us millennials are too one-track mind, and we are easily distracted by clickbait. But the empathy thing, to be completely honest, I'm not going to call them racist, but it is racist. Other than that, it's like, give me a response. You claim to be Christian. You claim to look at people who want a better life, for themselves. But what is the only difference here? Oh, okay, they have brown skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I say that, they're saying, oh, you're putting words in my mouth. And it's like, then give me a reason to not call you a racist, because right now, really, the difference here is the fact that, 1, they don't speak your language. 2, they have a different culture than you. 3, they have a different skin color. And every time I mention that, man, you know what they bring up? This is another response with the younger right wing right now about talking about separating children from their mothers.
What's that?
They make it into an abortion argument.
What?
No joke. Seriously, if you look at the memes of the younger conservatives, say like Turning Point USA, if you're not familiar with them, it's a younger. They're trying to get conservatism back into the university, but that is what they equate this to. They equate people fleeing actual violence to seek asylum. They think that I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's incredibly frustrating, but hey, I appreciate everything your entire radio station is doing. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, Ford, thank you, man. Keep fighting the fight, man. Turn those kids on to us. We'll help you out in the battle, man.
844-967-2789. Next up is Pete from Milwaukee. Pete, welcome. What do you got today?
Well, Ms. Bookmere, if she wants to run for office, she's going to get threats, and here's why. My wife ran for office a number of years ago in the 80s, and we got a little giddy bop from the local Nazi party here, threatening us and everything. And they were so brave because, you know, they put their address on the thing. And you know what it was for an address?
What?
A P.O. box.
So, Pete, I want to be clear. Your wife ran for local political office and received death threats from the local Nazi party with the return address of the P.O. box?
Death threats, but they were definitely, you know, it's been so long ago.
Yeah.
They were definitely threats, you know, going after us, the whole family, doing things to us. And we gave them to the police. And that's what you do. I mean, you're going to get them because you're not going to agree with everybody when you run for political office.
Well, yeah, and when you hate Nazis, you know, they may not like the fact that you hate Nazis.
Well, yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe don't be a fascist Nazi.
Yeah, and it had to do with racism because they didn't like the fact that my wife stood for busing. She said it's okay to bus. It's a good idea in this situation. She had experience with it. And they didn't like it at all, you know. So they're quite racist, and but they didn't, you know. As far as I'm concerned, if they really wanted to back it up, they should have had a place where we could go and talk to them, and maybe it would have been a nice, you know, something or whatever. But they wouldn't do that because they're not like that. They just want to make threats, and I think if she did get some threats. In this case, she probably, you know, can kind of, it's hard to dismiss them, but I don't think that they're serious. Why would you give somebody a threat if you were really going to do something?
Hey, Pete, appreciate the call. 844-967-2789. That's the number you need to call and contribute. Back to Leah, I'll shoot you in the face, Vukmer. What did she brag about? Well, that she was threatened and she defunded Planned Parenthood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's ever been a threat made against a healthcare provider at Planned Parenthood?
Yes.
What did Bill O'Reilly call Tiller, the man that was murdered?
Tiller the baby killer.
Tiller the baby killer. Dr. Tiller, an abortion provider, gunned down at his clinic. So that, I would say, goes beyond simple threats. And Leah Vukmer would cast herself with those that would make those very same threats against abortion providers because they somehow feel sanctimonious and they feel justified. They're protecting babies. But that's only in utero if it's a Latino baby.
Born south of the border.
Well, he's a mini rapist.
Mini drug dealer.
Mini murderer, perhaps.
With huge calves.
And some are very good people, I'm
sure.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. We're the best sort of people. We got radio microphones. 844-967-2789. Call us.
We are people of compassion.
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
On many sides. On many sides.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Jeff's Guitar Clinic is a multifaceted shop offering guitars, amplifiers, and all accessories, guitar lessons for all ages, and instrument repair of the highest quality. Jeff'sGuitar.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
They'll challenge your authority because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Kreutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's the happy hour. You can call us. We'd be happy. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, before we get back to the phones, little self-promotion. Got some big events coming up, including tomorrow. Dem Bike Club. 3 to 4 p.m. Kathleen Vinehout, Malin Mitchell joining us live in our Brady Street studios. Gonna let them scrap it out in here.
What time is that tomorrow?
2 candidates enter, 1 candidate leaves. 3 to 4 p.m.
Oh, right off the top.
Right from the top. You better tune in early. Set your alarms. Also coming up, got another debate that we're going to broadcast on Resistance Radio. Kathy Myers versus the Iron Stash, Randy Bryce. That event, July 8th. That's a Sunday. And then I intend to replay that debate on perhaps Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
And Dom, the big debate tomorrow, right here on this big show, going to take that package up with the, Kelda Royce, Mike McCabe hour, the debate from last Friday, put them together, and I think we'll play them out on Thursday night this week between 6 and 8 p.m.
Oh, nice.
But you better listen live because it's always better live. Lots of debates, lots of useful radio coming up. 81 conservative stations in the state, 1 resistance radio. 81.
Playing 235 hours of conservative talk a day.
And we're doing the best we can. We got like 7 hours of super cool talk per day when you factor all the different lineup. Actually, more like 12 hours.
Well,
live
and both stations.
Liberal talk, yes. Times 2, that's 24 hours.
Oh, see, man, we're like a 10th of the way there.
10th of the way to matching right-wing talk radio. You know, there's 81 of them, and one of us, I'm sure, will prevail.
844-967-2789. Got a few minutes left. Let's take Gary from Sussex. Hey, Gary, happy Monday. Thanks for calling. What do you got today?
Hey guys. I enjoyed calling you guys. I enjoyed talking to you guys. You guys give me a lot of ammunition. Oh, I tell you.
All right, bring it.
You really do. Okay. And the thing is, I do appreciate you guys not personally attacking me, which you could if you wanted to. I only give you my opinion. Now, one thing I have to say is one of you guys, I don't remember which one, you said, we don't live in a border state. Well, we actually do. We live in Wisconsin, and we do live in a border state with Canada. That's correct, you guys.
Okay. I think we got a big Lake Superior in the way, but I'll go with you on this one, Gary. International waters and all that.
Correct. Okay.
So is California a border state with, or Hawaii a border state with Japan then?
Yes, there's a little bit of water.
There's a little bit of water. All right, but yeah, point made, Gary. That's okay. Go ahead, man.
Okay, and then you guys made something before, a statement about you only listen to one side or something like that. I listen to both sides, so I'm well informed. I listen to you guys. I listen to Dan O'Donnell and Rush Limbaugh, and I always listen to you guys. If I'm in my truck, I'm a heating contractor, so if I'm driving around, I listen to you guys.
Well, then I believe you are well informed, Gary.
I am well informed. Yes, because I listen to both sides. You know what? If I only listen to one side, it would be all propaganda, correct?
I think so. But Gary, have you ever been influenced by any of the arguments made here?
Yeah. Actually, yes.
Come on, you're too open-minded to be a real conservative, then, Gary.
Oh no! You don't know me. I am very open-minded. Granted, that's why I'm listening to you guys and we can talk. You guys played something that Trump played that said last week or something like that about him and Kim, the premier of North Korea, as he wishes his people would stand up for him. You know, remember, like,
yes,
it was mentioned about his people.
Yes,
I thought, man, that was bad. That really sounded bad. I listened to that statement and I thought, what an idiot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Donald Trump, but I think Donald Trump puts his foot in his mouth a little bit too much. And you guys had some good ammunition there, and you guys used it, and good for you. You guys caught that, you know. So I agree with that. Another thing, I listen to you guys, especially Stephanie Miller, too. You know what she does is every time she talks about how stupid we are, the Republicans, the conservatives, and then she laughs. Oh, you believe this? You know. The thing is, the reason she's laughing is because she really doesn't have anything, and she's desperately trying so hard to make something sound so stupid, and yet to me, I think that she makes a stupid remark about something that I think that she's absolutely wrong on, but she's trying to make us out to be stupid, so she laughs. And then she has a little pity claps. You ever listen to a little pity clap thing? You know, a couple little, there's like two little hands clap.
Gary, appreciate the call. And, you know, we don't laugh unnecessarily at conservatives, Gary. I just let them hang themselves.
Gary, sorry we ran out of time. We got a hard break at the bottom. But what I would like to know, sir, is does Donald Trump have the ability right now to correct any issues as far as separating kids from the border? But we got to go. Thank you. 844-967-2789.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it?
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters, and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys, because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. One of the Republican candidates challenging Senator Tammy Baldwin appears in a new television commercial with a handgun by her side. In the ad, Leah Vukmir is shown sitting at her kitchen table with her gun and discussing death threats she has received. And candidates for governor Kathleen Vinehout and Malin Mitchell will take part in a debate tomorrow afternoon on the Devil's Advocates radio show. That debate will take place from 3 to 4 p.m. tomorrow here on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. And outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy with rain likely. That rain should be ending tonight around 10 p.m. Lows tonight in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, a 40% chance of rain with highs only in the upper 60s. You're listening to Resistance Radio.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show in the midst of the happy hour. Time for Walker Bash and Dom. Before we get there, though, an article I found at the Madison.com. Do you know you only need, at minimum wage, 3 full-time jobs to afford rent in Madison? So if you work 120 hours per week, you can afford rent.
All right.
Minimum wage. You know, Scott Walker had it at his sole discretion. State law said a minimum wage in the state of Wisconsin should be a livable wage, and Scott Walker opted to change the verbiage of the law.
Instead of increasing the wage.
And retain the lowest minimum wage in the nation, the lowest you can possibly set it, $7.25 an hour, to the point where if you live in Madison, Wisconsin, my hometown, you would need to work 3 full-time jobs to afford rent on a 2-bedroom
8
apartment.
hours a day times 3 would be 24 hours a day. You really wouldn't need an apartment if you're working 24 hours a day.
That's true, Dom. What an efficiency. You could just go from job to job to job.
Some people want to work 7 days a week. Rudy, just ask Rothman.
Yes. Dominic, governor of the state of Wisconsin, has been bragging quite a bit.
We're winning.
We're winning. We're winning here in the state of Wisconsin. That's what he tells us. Historically low unemployment rate. Don't mind the 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs people have to string together to hope to pay the rent, to hope to put food on the table. And of course, he's made it harder for those that might need a social safety net because they're just lazy, Dom. You know, if you only work 2.5 minimum wage jobs and you need a little help, food stamps, pee in a cup, right?
Yeah. Yes, law allows employers to pay workers less than a livable wage, and then the same lawmakers who make that law bitch about the fact that some of those workers might need assistance from the state to survive.
But Dominic, it's the greatest it's ever been in the state of Wisconsin. It's a 2.8% unemployment rate, or at least that's what I've heard the governor bragging about quite a bit over the last couple months.
Hell, Crudy, I got the State of Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development immediate press release released on my birthday last Thursday, although I didn't really get to it till this weekend. Here's the headline from the Department of Workforce Development. Of course, this is Scott Walker's headline. BLS data. Wisconsin's unemployment rate remains at a record low 2.8%, over 45,000 manufacturing jobs added since 2010. That sound great?
That sounds pretty cool if it were only true, Dom, or if it told the whole story.
Well,
does it tell the whole story?
No. Doesn't tell the whole story. Now, there is more information. They do provide the Wisconsin employment and unemployment reports for the revisions for April, the monthly estimates for May. And
let's start with April, Dom. How'd the great state of Wisconsin do for new private sector jobs created in the month of April?
I think April was revised downward, Crudy.
How bad is it, Dom? Because 2.8% unemployment, that's the headline.
April had preliminary numbers of 3,100 job loss, private sector revision of 5,600. Oh, Crudy, here's the deal. Since March through May, through this last report.
Last 3 months.
March,
April, May.
9,600 jobs were lost in the state of Wisconsin.
Where's that in the headline?
It's not there. You have to actually look at the actual numbers from the BLS and crunch them yourself.
So the revised number for April is a loss of 5,600 jobs, and subsequently you add 3 months together in the state of Wisconsin, 3 months where Scott Walker's been out there campaigning quite a bit, utilizing the historically low unemployment rate, 2.8%, Dom. Only we're hemorrhaging jobs here in the state of Wisconsin. How could that be?
3 months in a row, almost 10,000 jobs lost.
That's starting to sound like a trend.
Well, and that's not even the worst of it. And I'm going to have to borrow from the fine Facebook page, Walker is the Worst. I saw this, and I did double-check the numbers. Jim Cooper put it down there so succinctly, so I'm going to borrow and attribute this statement.
I'll plagiarize it, Will.
Fun fact. In May, Scott Walker's Wisconsin led the nation in the most non-farm jobs lost at minus 4,700 jobs.
We're number one.
Walker's Wisconsin was one of only 7 states to lose jobs. The state to lose the second most in May lost only 700.
So we lost 4,700, and the next closest state of the 7 states in the entire nation that lost jobs lost 700.
2 others lost 500 each. 1 lost 300. 2 lost 200 each. Yes.
So we were nearly 7 times as many jobs as the next closest state.
Nearly, yes.
Of the 7 states nationwide,
we were number one
lost
in job
jobs.
loss.
We're number one.
He's right. Walker's right. We're number one. I continue from Jim Cooper's analysis, which I confirmed. Wisconsin was the only state of the 12 states in the Midwest to lose jobs in May. So look at the rest of the state, Midwest, Crudy. Here's the breakdown. Illinois gained 8,600 non-farm jobs. Indiana, 4,000. Iowa, 3,300. Kansas, 1,900. Michigan, 11,800. Minnesota, 10,200. This is 1 month. Nebraska,
yeah, but we got a lower unemployment rate. I feel pretty confident.
Nebraska, 4,000. North Dakota, 4,200. Ohio gained 22,600 jobs. South Dakota, 2,200 jobs. Missouri gained 400 jobs. And just to review, Wisconsin lost 4,700 jobs in May. Thank you, Scott Walker. And let's not forget, 9,600 jobs March, April, and May combined.
But Dom, he claims we have this historically low unemployment rate. Look at how much better we're doing than, let's say, those liberal phonies over in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, those people.
Only I found an article at themadison.com today, Dom, and I'm only going to read briefly from it. Had Wisconsin's job growth kept up with the national rate, it would have surpassed Walker's goal. You remember the 250,000 job goal. 7 years in, he's not cleared that hurdle. But back to the article I found at themadison.com. Had Wisconsin's job growth kept up with the national rate, it would have surpassed Walker's goal in 2015. Yet here we are in 2018. We're not even close. And the state would have an additional, wait for it, Dom, 116,000 private sector jobs today.
If we just kept pace with the national growth.
Well, Dom, we didn't vary from the national growth rate until, what's it called? Oh, yeah, Act 10. Act 10 was the stunter of job growth in the state of Wisconsin. That divide and conquer, that taking money out of working public sector union employees, well, that's money you effectively ripped out of the economy, right? Those are dollars that did not recirculate to the benefit of all Wisconsinites. But it worked out well for Scotty Walker's reelection. And knowing that there are 81 stations repeating whatever BS this man leads with, Dom, 81 conservative right-wing talk radio stations in the state of Wisconsin.
How many of them do you think?
Look at the historical 2.8% unemployment rate.
9,600 jobs lost in the last 3 months. How many of those 81 stations with 235 hours a day of conservative talk are telling their audience that?
I guarantee something close to zero. I mean, can you imagine anyone holding Scott Walker's BS headlines to scrutiny, Dom?
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do when you're the media and you're looking at the BS that the government gives you.
Well, Dominic, but we're doing better in Minnesota unless you believe your lying eyes or the newspaper. Here's what the paper, themadison.com, said. Again, talking about the 116,000 additional private sector jobs we should have in the state of Wisconsin, absent under Scott Walker's governance. And looking across the river, Dom, for the first time in its history, Minnesota has more jobs than the state of Wisconsin. Now, I know I've heard Scott Walker go, but their unemployment rate's 3.2%. Explain to me how a state with a population 240,000 people less can have more net jobs than the state of Wisconsin and a higher unemployment rate. Well, I would suggest Scott Walker has pushed some people off the unemployment rolls. You know, those that have stopped looking for meaningful work.
Don't count.
Because if you need 3 minimum wage jobs to pay the rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in Madison, Wisconsin, I mean, you're already on the working rolls. You're already employed. You just can't afford to eat or live. So go get another job.
Get 4.
Minnesota has more net jobs with a population 240,000 citizens less than the state of Wisconsin, yet somehow they reflect their unemployment rate at 3.2%. And Scott Walker, despite 10,000 jobs hemorrhaged in the last 90 days, we're still claiming we're at 2.8.
And if we would have kept pace with national averages, just keeping pace, not exceeding what the nation did, would have over 116,000 more workers in the state of Wisconsin today.
And we would have met Scott Walker's 4-year promise in like 5 years instead of working towards 8 years and we're not close.
What about the policies? I mean, I thought this was all supposed to work, right? I mean,
but what about the manufacturing agribusiness tax credit? These 45,000 mythical manufacturing jobs that we supposedly produced in the state of Wisconsin
since 2010.
Well, I'm not clear on the accuracy of that figure either. The manufacturing agricultural tax credit in the state of Wisconsin, 2016, fully implemented. We lost in the state of Wisconsin in 2016, 4,000 manufacturing jobs and about $400 million in manufacturing wages, while the manufacturing corporations got effectively a 0% tax rate. They were incentivized to cash out, to cut staff. That's what a policy. When you don't have to pay taxes
put it
on
in your
pocket,
profit, baby. Put it in your pocket.
0.4%, effectively 0%, right?
You cash out.
Well, that does not incentivize corporations to go hiring. And Scott Walker...
But they said it would.
Well, he claims it in his BS is still claiming, 2.8% unemployment. We've added 45,000 manufacturing jobs in 8 years. Although we lost 4,000 manufacturing jobs and $400 million in manufacturing wages last year, something is incongruent It couldn't be Scott Walker's press release is manufactured, could it, Don?
You know, when it doesn't specifically state what the job gains were,
we lost jobs.
Right.
You know we're bleeding jobs in the state of Wisconsin for a full business quarter in a row.
The only state in the Midwest.
Dom, only one of 7 states in the nation losing jobs. The number 1 state for job losses in the nation.
We're number 1. We're number 1.
But we got a 2.8% unemployment rate. You can tell it's right in the BLS headlines. DWD headline. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development.
Their interpretation of the BLS numbers from the feds. Well, here's another one.
Well, it always sounds better if I get to put the spin on it.
Not just the 45,000 jobs in the manufacturing industry since December of 2010, and a statistically significant 15,100 manufacturing jobs since May of 2017. But then here's the question. Those are all the small samples, right? The big samples, confirmation, won't come up for another 6 months.
The QE, the gold standard that Scott Walker started discounting when it showed he wasn't creating jobs here in the state of Wisconsin, trailing the entire nation. We should have another 116,000 jobs if all we did was keep pace, conservatives. I know why you want to reelect this guy. He's so good.
Wow.
We're open for business.
So such a great businessman.
Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce sure likes the guy.
Well, yeah.
They're cashing out.
Mm-hmm.
We are the devil's advocates. Someday we'll cash out.
Come on, man.
844-967-2789. Your contributions are priceless.
Except Wisconsin's doing terribly.
Just because he says it doesn't make it true.
Don't believe the press.
Wanker. Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Here at Bounce Milwaukee, we not only want families and friends to build connections, we also want to grow those connections in our community. That's why every Wednesday night from 5 to 8 p.m., we host Refuel the Resistance. It's a great chance to have a drink in our arcade bar, try something from our fantastic restaurant, connect with progressive activists, and support local organizations. For more information about Bounce Milwaukee's Refuel the Resistance, visit us at bouncemilwaukee.com or call 414-312-4357.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, it's a public health issue and a public safety issue. I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you've got something to say, now is your opportunity. You got to do it now. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, our friends at Voces de la Frontera have issued a press release. Walker sends National Guard to border to help Trump rip children from their families. Wisconsin National Guard troops are following Governor Scott Walker's directive to deploy to the U.S.-Mexico border starting today. Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker has recalled Massachusetts National Guard from the border deployment, but Walker, he stays the course, Tom. He will not back down.
I will back down. I am not intimidated by you, little kids.
Dateline Milwaukee, on Monday, the Wisconsin National Guard announced they had deployed troops to the U.S.-Mexico border in accordance with Governor Scott Walker's declaration in April that he would send Wisconsin National Guard troops to the border as part of President Trump's request for governors to do so. Walker's actions come as nationwide outcry grows against the Trump administration policy of separating children from their parents at the border. On Monday, Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker canceled his decision to send National Guard troops to the border because of Trump's policy of separating children from their parents. Voces de la Frontera and the New Sanctuary Movement of Milwaukee will hold an interfaith rally at 9 a.m. on Thursday, June 21st at the Milwaukee ICE office. That's 310 East Knapp Street. Once again, interfaith rally at 9 a.m. this Thursday, June 21st at the Milwaukee ICE office, 310 East Knapp Street, in protest of Trump's efforts to separate immigrant families at the border in Wisconsin. Here's a quote, Dom. We call on Governor Walker to immediately recall our National Guard troops back to their homes in Wisconsin and to stop aiding Donald Trump's cruel war on immigrant families, says Christine Newman-Ortiz, executive director of Voces de la Frontera. Walker must join with many members of his own party and demand Trump in his cruel, immoral efforts to separate immigrant families at the border and in our own communities here in Wisconsin, like the family of Franco Ferreira, Ferreira, a father of four who qualifies for DACA but who was detained by ICE as part of Trump's escalated efforts to separate immigrant families throughout the country. Scott Walker is enabling Trump as he builds prison camps for children and terrorizes millions of families. We demand Governor Walker recall the National Guard troops back to Wisconsin. Voces de la Frontera.
Crudy reading Daily Beast, of course, Kirstjen Nielsen, the DHS secretary.
The very Aryan-looking blonde lady.
The nation's top immigration enforcement official confirmed on Monday that a Trump administration policy change is resulting in the separation of undocumented immigrant families, even as she insisted that no such policy exists. Here's a quote. What has changed is that we are no longer exempting entire classes of people who break the law. Everyone is subject to prosecution, and parents who entered illegally are by definition criminals. It's that change from a policy that brings civil proceedings against undocumented immigrants to one that levies criminal charges against all adults who illegally enter the U.S. has resulted in the highly controversial separation of families at the southern border, where children are being kept in detention facilities as their families are charged and deported.
Dominic, there is new audio tape out. We don't have this. We're not playing this. Will not be time. But you can hear these little kids getting taken away from their families.
Crying.
You can hear it.
Yes.
Yeah, mommy.
Wailing.
And I do
Weeping.
I do not think that this will play well with Donald Trump's narrative. You know, it's all the Democrats' fault and there's nothing he can do to solve this problem, when, of course, this is entirely of his creation and there's everything he could do to solve this problem. But instead, Jeff Sessions, Kirstjen Nielsen, they all get out there and they pretend like it's not their fault. There's nothing they can do about it.
It's the Democrats. It's terrible. And no one wants to see it. I mean, this is terrible.
Except for Scott Walker here in the state of Wisconsin that has deployed National Guards troops effective today. Scott Walker, he's all down for tearing immigrant kids away from their families, or he would not support this policy with Wisconsin National Guard troops.
No, it's the Republicans. They're all about following the law, except when it doesn't serve their purposes.
Is that God's law, biblical law?
Whatever they decide at the time.
Folks, want to thank our fine guests today. They included Jay Heck, Executive Director, Common Cause in Wisconsin, former State Senator Tim Cullen, and tomorrow, Dem Fight Club. We got Kathleen Feinhout, we got Malin Mitchell. They'll be duking it out in the 3 o'clock hour right here on Brady Street. And then coming up on the big Wednesday show, Dominic, brand new Marquette University Law School polling. Our friend Charles Franklin will make the happy hour just a little happier. So please tune in. It's going to be a big week of shows. Always is up around here. We are the Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio network. Kicking ass and taking names every day. Do it again tomorrow. Please tune in 3 to 6. That's all we ask.
We have to do our job. We will not